I'm gonna finish up today's videos with something just basic, something just fun, basic, and just down to earth. I've had people asking, so when are you gonna start doing bedtime stories again? Soon. I've got a bunch of books that arrive on Monday, so when all those books arrive, we'll see about whether or not I can concoct bedtime stories out of that, and that kind of thing, because they're reassuring and they're fun, right? So that's a fun thing. Now you'll see the board over here in the corner. That's my NFL. That's from the draft last night. I did the recap of the whole first round on the Entertainment Guy channel, which was fun because sports finally happened. Sports happened last night, and if the NHL is going to do its draft the same way, they've got some things to learn from the NFL. Hurry up! For the love of God, hurry up! So the live stream was also interesting last night because I've said in live streams on here that we need to go because kids might set the house on fire. Fire alarm went off during that live stream last night. I didn't move. I didn't panic. There was no moving. There was no panicking. There was nothing. It was just, yep, kids are gonna set the house on fire, and I'm just gonna hang around here. Just let me know what's on fire, and yeah. So that was fun. That was a fun part of the live stream. It was a lively live stream indeed. So which entertained people, and people were like, wow, he really would just stay with his jerseys. Yep. Unless I'm told that there's a legit fire that could burn everything down, in which case these are on wheels. They're rolling right out a door. I don't care what I'm breaking off to get them out. They can all go on the lawn. I'll just throw sheets out there. But yeah, yesterday I proved that in case of a fire, yeah, I'll pretty much stick around here until I have to do something else. All right, but that being said, I want to talk about what this last video, I intend to be the last video of the day, is about. And again, just to keep things nice and simple, and it's score hockey cards. So, this is for people looking to get into collecting hockey cards, and especially if you're looking to learn about hockey players. This cost me $7. I know there are people who are going to say I overpaid. I will eventually pull one of these Bobby Orr cards. It's eventually going to happen. Gone through numerous sets. Now, one thing that's interesting to me about Score back in 91 is these are the American Score. Purple. Okay. This is Series 1 of the Canadian Score, and they're red. And other than that, they're exactly the same. Series 2 of Score was blue. This is Series 1. Of course, Series 2 had a lot of guys who got traded. Now, when you're going through cards, again, if you're looking to get rich, you're not going to do it collecting cards. You're not. And I know there's people who buy boxes of cards. No, I'm going to get a big pull. I'm going to get a big autograph if you can sell it. If you can get the big money for it, great. But again, it's if you can sell it. I saw Upper Deck had the Stanley Cup, hologram that first year, and that was considered the Holy Grail. Somebody on eBay was trying to get $2,000 for it, and I thought, no. And it's like numbered out of 5,000. Because there's some cards that are being made now that are numbered out of 500, and they're not 2,000. So again, that's just one of those weird things. But it's a supply and demand thing, right? Sort of like I've got the Donruss baseball that I've been opening up on my channel. And you look at the Ken Griffey rookie out of that set, and you could get it for $2. You could get it for over $100. Again, it depends on condition. I understand. But as soon as you've got them out of the pack and you're handling them like I am, that it keeps dropping down. It's like, all right, it's a gem mint 10, and it's a 9. It's an 8. It's a 7. I've got cards in my collection that are rated a 6.5, which are just fine for me, but fuzzy corners. Oh no. All right, so I opened one pack of these just for fun because, I'm still trying to get that Gordie Howe. So, or not Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr. So, again, these are Canadian Series 1, and they're not bad. So, the first card that you get is Jimmy Carson. The interesting thing is Carson for the Red Wings at this point, after playing 80 games in each of his past 3 seasons, Jimmy missed a total of 48 over the last 2. A knee injury kept him sidelined for 5 weeks in 90-91. When healthy, Jimmy can be a tremendous offensive force, who certainly proved that March 5th when he recorded a hat trick to power the Red Wings to a 6-3 win over the Nordiques. Drafted by the Kings in 1986, Jimmy looked like he'd have a long career in Tinseltown after a fine rookie season. He piled up 55 goals and 107 points in 87-88. Jimmy's stay was a short one, though, as he was traded to the Oilers on August 9th, 1988 in the deal that made Wayne Gretzky a king. He was dealt back to his hometown Wings shortly after the start of 89-90. He was one of those guys who was, I don't want to play in Edmonton. There's Rick Walmsley. We talked about the Flames today. Rick Walmsley, part of a deal for some guy named Brett. There's Rod Langley, who that year played 56 games, had 8 points. He passed the 900 game mark. Rod's played 641 games as a Capital, second only Mike Gartner on the club's all-time list. His 9th season in Washington was a painful one. His back spasms plagued him throughout 1991. During one stretch, Rod missed 17 consecutive games before he was able to return February 21st. You don't know what a difference Rod Langley makes until he's out of the lineup, said Capitals coach Terry Murray. Big and strong, Rod's been a punishing hitter since he broke into the league with the Canadiens in 78-79. His trade to the Capitals in 1982 helped turn the club into a consistent winner. Rod won the Norris Trophy as the league's best defenseman in 82-83 and 83-84, becoming the first American-born player ever to capture that prestigious honor. So see, if you're trying to come up with like trivia questions, who's the first American-born player to get the honor of being the Norris Trophy, and it's Rod Langley, even though he was born in Taiwan. So see, you could say he was born in Taiwan, but which American-born player won the Norris? Born in Taiwan. And that will just throw people off, and they won't think Rod Langley. Is Jeremy Roenick with the Blackhawks. Nice young Jeremy Roenick there. Roenick was one of my favorite players at that point, too. Dana Merzen, he was known for being one of the slower Vancouver Canucks at that stage. There were numerous remarks about it. This was Cliff Roning's first year in Vancouver. Part of the reason that I love collecting cards from back then is when you can see Vancouver finally not being crap. Peter Bondra, this was his rookie year. So you can see how young and fresh-faced Peter Bondra was on the back of that. Wayne Presley of the Hawks. Ray Shepherd, who seemed to always be getting traded. Marty McSorley, everybody's favorite player, right? He had 1,179 penalty minutes at that point in 449 games in his career. Paul Ranheim of the Flames. Mikhail Tatarinov of the Capitals. Or Tatarinov. I heard it both ways. There wasn't an internet back then to correct all of us. Greg Adams, Vancouver Canucks. One of my favorites. 21 goals, 24 assists, 45 points in 55 games that year. There's Ray Ferraro, everybody's favorite color analyst, right? Absolutely. No? Okay. Doug Crossman, who went through the Islanders, Whalers, and Red Wings. And even on the back, he looks like he's confused about which jersey he's wearing. I'm a Wing now, right? I was a Whaler last week, and then the week before that I was an Islander, so I don't know. Let's see. In addition to the Red Wings, Whalers, and Islanders, Doug's played for the Kings, Flyers, and Blackhawks in his 11-year career. And I have at times thought about doing a Doug Crossman journeyman video because he was a good defense. Well, he was a good player. The defensive side of the puck was sometimes an adventure with him. He was more of the offensive side, as I remember it. I always liked the score ones too because you had Kirk McLean on the front of some of the packs. So, one other thing too is, and you do have to watch when you're buying. I think I've mentioned this before, but yeah, you do have to watch when you're buying cards that you're going through a reputable seller because there are sellers that would search boxes. The thing is, since these boxes are only $7, nobody's searching these boxes for Bobby Orrs. There's Ed Olczyk for the Winnipeg Jets. Ed gave the Jets instant offense in 1991 after being acquired from the Maple Leafs 5 weeks into the season. A deadly accurate shooter and passer, he had at least 1 point in each of his first 10 games as a Jet. Ed went on to record the 30-goal mark for the 4th consecutive season in his career. On February 26th, he notched his 200th goal of his career in a game against the Whalers. Ed averaged 37 goals, 84 points a year with Toronto, a Chicago native. He was thrilled to be drafted by his hometown team in 1984 after a stint in the U.S. Olympic squad. Ed scored 20 goals for the Blackhawks, and as an 18-year-old rookie in 84-85, he was traded to the Maple Leafs in 87. So again, if you're looking for trivia answers, you could say in 1984 which U.S. Olympian was drafted by the Blackhawks. Abby Olczyk. This is Gary Lehman. Now, was this his 50-goal season? No, it was the year after. 52 games, 17 goals, 12 assists. Gary suffered through a very frustrating 90-91 season. Coming off a magnificent 51-goal campaign in 89-90, he had trouble hitting his stride. To make matters worse, Gary separated his shoulder on November 10th and missed the next 2 months of play. When he returned, he had to confront daily trade rumors that would make anyone feel unsettled. Ironically, Gary had one of his best games right before the league's trading deadline on March 3rd. He scored twice to give Toronto a 4-4 tie in Hartford. In 89-90, Gary joined Rick Vive as the only Leafs ever to score 50 goals in a season. The speedy winger led Toronto in scoring as he dazzled opponents with his explosive play. And yeah, that 50-goal season, that raised the bar, and he would never get back to that. And I don't know how much of that was the injuries he suffered that following year, but yeah, he never got back to that level. Pat Verbeek, the Hartford Whalers. I've talked about Verbeek plenty over the years. Tony Granato, Patrick Roy, that's a fantastic card. That is, I'm just going to say right now, that's a fantastic card of Patrick Roy. No NHL goaltender is more valuable to his team than Patrick. That was certainly evident in 90-91 as separate knee and ankle injuries forced him out of the Canadiens lineup for a total of 24 games. When Patrick returned from the ankle problem, he did so in spectacular fashion. In just his second game back, he stopped 49 shots in a 5-3 win at Chicago on March 6th. A three-time All-Star, Patrick won the Vezina Trophy as the league's top goaltender in 88-89 and 89-90. His tremendous reflexes and acrobatic style make him fun to watch. As a rookie in 85-86, Patrick guided Montreal to the Stanley Cup title. Roy's the best goaltender in the world, said Canadiens coach Pat Burns. Not just the National Hockey League, but the world. And judging by the picture on the back, Patrick Roy knew he was the best. Patrick Roy, and you always got that impression from him that he knew. He just knew he was the best. But for players to be the best, you kind of have to have that swagger. Norman Rochefort, playing for the Rangers. I want to say he played for Quebec as well. Doug Brown for the New Jersey Devils. Igor Larionov for the Canucks, and that was after his second season. 13 goals, 21 assists, 34 points that year with the Canucks. John Tonelli with the Kings. Alf Dahlin of the Minnesota North Stars. Claude Lemieux of the New Jersey Devils. Let's see what they have to say about Claude, shall we? A big, strong winger who enjoys riling up the opposition, Claude made quite the impact on the Devils in 90-91. Coming over after 4 full seasons with the Canadiens, he scored 20 goals in New Jersey's first 44 games and netted 2 hat tricks by the end of January. He's playing as hard and as tough as he has in the past, said Devils GM Lou Lamoriello. He has a way of getting self-motivated. He's never satisfied. Claude burst onto the scene in the 86 playoffs, scoring 10 goals in 20 games to lead Montreal to the Stanley Cup title. To do my job, I have to stir things up, he said. I don't underestimate myself. I can skate, make plays, and score, but I know I have to be physical. Claude Lemieux. And he has to turtle. He didn't mention that part. Mike Krushelnyski, who of course had gone through, he came over from the Kings that year. Bounced around a bit. He might be good for a journeyman video too. Pat Flatley, long-term New York Islander there. Paul Ranheim, again. And Tatarinov. So there's not fantastic selection there. That's only the second pack, and I got 2 doubles already. So it's kind of an upper deck pack there, Score. All right, we'll go through this one. We'll figure this out. Sergei Makarov. So I mentioned, of course, I did the Flames my all-time favorite Flames. He was in there. Dave Gagne, Minnesota. Mike Ramsey. I've talked about Mike Ramsey recently with the Buffalo Sabres. He had 800 games played for the Sabres at this point. Seeing Mike play his game reminds one of the league's pre-expansion days. Hip checks and fearless shot blocking are the keys to a game that has served this defensive defenseman well for more than 11 full seasons. He has a pain tolerance most of us can't even imagine, said Sabres coach Rick Dudley. I think Mike Ramsey defines what character's all about. Not called on too often to contribute offensively, Mike showed he can still do the job when he had a goal, the game winner, and 3 assists in a 5-4 triumph at Chicago on January 24th, 1991. He was named team captain just 5 days later. Mike joined the Sabres in 1980 after playing for the gold medal winning U.S. Olympic squad. He was part of the Miracle on Ice. So, yep. There's Ray Bourque. I don't need to talk about Ray Bourque. Everybody knows I love Ray Bourque. There's Mike Vernon. Because, yep, Mike Vernon was fantastic. Calder Trophy. goes to Eddie the Eagle Belfour. Conn Smythe went to Mario Lemieux. And because Belfour cards were very, very popular, they had the goals against average. There's Ed Belfour. Here's the franchise, John Cullen. Now, that's interesting, isn't it? The franchise for Hartford is John Cullen, the guy they got back for Ron Francis, and a trade that helped Pittsburgh win it. So what did they say about Cullen? For 10 seasons, Ron Francis was the name most synonymous with the Hartford Whalers. See, the first sentence on this card is about Ron Francis. Not a good start. Traded to Pittsburgh last March, he left town as the club's all-time leader in every offensive category. Although sorry to see him go, Whaler fans were happy that John was acquired as part of the deal. A tremendous playmaker, he notched 110 points in 90-91. And it is noteworthy John Cullen was a pretty good offensive player. It's not completely dissimilar to when the Canucks get Neely, or get Peterson for Neely, in that this guy here, Cam Neely, went on to be a big star with Boston, but at the time, Barry Peterson had been a 100-point player not that long before, and they needed that strength down the middle, and they thought that Peterson would help address that strength down the middle, and Neely wasn't really working out for Vancouver at that stage. So there was some logic to the trade, much like there was to the Ron Francis deal. It doesn't make it look any better in hindsight, but there was some logic behind it at the time. Al MacInnis, 103 points. That's not too bad. Leading the defenseman in scoring with 103 points. Don Sweeney, current Boston GM. See, and this is one of those things where there's Don Sweeney, who's now the general manager. It'd be fun to have that on a board so people can say, I can't read that. What does it have? Why does he have that on the board? Why did he make a magnet out of a hockey? Why did he do that? There's Ken Reggett for the Flyers. He was 10, 14, and 3 that year, 3.56 goals against average. Reggett was a decent goaltender. He really was. Ken Baumgartner. A lot of people like Ken Baumgartner. 282 penalty minutes in 78 games that year for the Islanders. Bomber. There's Keith Primeau. That's after his rookie year. 3 goals, 12 assists for Primeau that year. He's a bust. It's it. It's over. Luke Richardson with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Still a guy I'm waiting for to get a coaching job in the NHL. Let's get one of these other ones here too. I'm going to get another pack that has Kirk McLean on the front. Even though it's not officially Kirk McLean because his number's not on there, but you can tell it's Kirk McLean because of the mask. So, you know. And when it's a $7 pack, or $7 box, I should say, you don't have to worry about how you're opening up the pack. You're not going, oh no, I dinged up a card. You don't really have to worry about it. It's not a big deal. It really isn't a big deal at all. It's fine. It's Dana Merzen. So I've got a double of Dana Merzen. If anybody wants a Dana Merzen scorecard from 1991, why? Even Dana Merzen would ask that question, so I'm not being mean to him at that point. Theron Fleury. I talked about him today. He's a young, dapper-looking Theron Fleury. That's some awesome hair right there. But I've always wondered, like, when people do their hair that way, I did it that way when I was in my 20s. It really shows how bald you're gonna get. So I didn't do it for long, and I tried like slicking it back, like the vampire look, and it didn't work either. Turns out when you're going bald, there isn't really a hairstyle that you can use that makes it look like you're not going to go bald, other than just cut it all off, which clearly I've done, and start wearing hats, which I was doing as well. There's Doug Gilmour for the Calgary Flames. This is shortly before he ended up becoming a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, of course. It was the following season. Tom Fergus for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He only played 14 games that year. Tom hopes to bounce back strong this season after injuries limited him to just 14 games in 90-91. The two-time 30-goal scorer underwent groin surgery in October, did not return till February 19th. Tom's stay in the lineup was a short one, though, as he suffered a season-ending back injury on March 20th in Los Angeles. Tom, Vincent Donfus, and Daniel Marois formed a productive scoring line for the Leafs in 89-90. The trio amassed 91 goals and 215 points that season, even with Tom missing 26 games that year due to injury. A fluid skater, Tom has one of the hardest and most accurate wrist shots in the league. He spent his first 4 years in his career with the Bruins before coming to Toronto in 1985. So there you go. Andrew Castles. Habs fans will remember him. Flames fans should remember him, and so should Canuck fans. 90-91 highlight, 700th career goal for Wayne Gretzky. So he scored his 700th goal. And what surprises me is it's not against Vancouver. That's the thing that surprises me. It felt like when he needed an important goal, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You'll get it. Vancouver, just let him have it. Art Ross Trophy Wayne Gretzky, like I said, they always found extra reasons to have cards for certain guys. There's Ed Belfour with the Vezina Trophy. So you have the Calder Trophy, the Vezina Trophy, goals against. The franchise, Wayne Gretzky. No argument there that Wayne Gretzky was the franchise at that stage. Season leader in wins with 43, Ed Belfour. There were a lot of Belfour cards in this set. A ton. Brian Leetch for the Rangers. This was only after 3 years for him in the NHL. John Van Beesbrook with the Rangers. Al MacInnis with the Calgary Flames. Al enjoyed another magnificent season in 1991 as he led all NHL defensemen in scoring. He got off to a great start, notching 8 goals in his first 12 games. Calgary's all-time leading scorer also set a club record by recording an assist in 11 straight games. He's arguably the best defenseman in the game. He's got a shot like a rocket, said Flames VP Al McNeil. Al won the hardest shot competition in 1991 All-Star game with a 94-mile-an-hour blast. So again, if you want to just have like weird thoughts and how do you remember that? This is where when people say, well, how does Shannon remember all of these players and stuff? This is how. 94-mile-an-hour blast at the 1991 All-Star game. So somebody could go, remember Al MacInnis? Oh yeah, I know, he played for the Flames. He had a 94-mile-an-hour slap shot to win the hardest shot competition back in 1991. Okay, so you remember him then. It's weird. He earned the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP in 1989 after leading the Flames to their first Stanley Cup title. Al led all playoff scorers with 31 points in 22 games that year. He notched at least 1 point in 17 straight postseason matches. So again, there's a lot of trivia stuff on there. There's John Cullen, and he had 110 points in 78 games that year. So again, keep that in mind, especially when it comes to trade deadline. This is why I don't declare winners and losers at the trade deadline. Because coming out of that trade, there were a lot of people who said, yeah, Francis goes to Pittsburgh, but John Cullen looks like a pretty good young forward going to Hartford. So he's over a 100-point player, so this may even out. And there's Pierre Turgeon with the Buffalo Sabres. And on the back, he looks like he knows he's with Buffalo Sabres. Although the Sabres were having much better luck at that point than they are now. But yeah, so there you go. Just some packs and some fun and some looking back. And I enjoy doing these kinds of things. And as long as it gets views and as long as people have some interest in it, yeah, I'll do it. And not only that, but as Yvonne said, she basically said so you can just have fun with those ones. You don't have to have a board behind you and write a whole bunch of stuff up and I can just talk. I'm good at that. I can do that. That's no problem. So all right, some interesting cards, and like I've said before, what you can do with cards like this, because again, they're cheap cards. Like I said, $7 for a box, and you're getting 400 or 500 cards in a box. You could cut around. You could cut around the picture and use the pictures for other things. So then people are like, oh, those are really cool pictures. Because if you take the pictures and if you put it on, I don't know, like I'm saying, I would use it on like magnets personally, but you could make like some kind of a collage or wallpaper of it. Be like, that was really cool. Why did you do that? And it could cost you $5 for all of the cards, or $1.50 for all the cards, and you still have a whole bunch more packs that you can use for something else. I remember back in the 80s, there was actually a book that I went through that showed arts and crafts you can do with hockey cards. It's out there. It's just anybody who made arts and crafts, anybody who actually made like a house out of their hockey cards in the 80s, that's a bad idea. But that's why a lot of those cards are so expensive, because a lot of us just trashed them. We didn't think they were going to be worth money later. And then in the 90s, we all thought they'd be worth money later, so they're worthless. So there you go. That's how that worked. And they overproduced, which is why a box of these is $7. But it's still fun to look at. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And yes, I will be regularly doing boxes. And any cards that I haven't opened on screen, I've still got the boxes down here that are still unopened. So I'm still, I'm going through this on a very gradual basis. There's no rush. There's no rush to get all this done, because right now, looking out there, there's no real rush. So, again, stay home where you can. Stay as safe as possible. And in the midst of all of this that is going on, we'll all get through this together. I'm not overly concerned about that part of it. But hey, thank you guys so much for all your support throughout this. It means a lot, and I will talk to you again soon.